Count Play Explore really always believed that children's literature is a very powerful tool to support STEAM learning. And prior to this work, we worked with one of our partners, the Early Math Project, to create book guides that really support educators, families, librarians, and other adults working with children to explore STEAM before, during, and after reading. So from this work, we began to notice some important gaps in the children's book market. While there's really great books out there and available for families and children, there weren't many that naturally integrated STEAM concepts into engaging, story-driven experiences. We also noticed that there was a lack of representation and diversity of children and families. And then also that if a book was published in English, it wasn't always available in Spanish or other languages at an affordable price.
Yeah, and for me, as a former educator, I saw exactly what Naomi just described, like a lack of those STEAM-focused stories, especially diverse STEAM-focused stories. For when I was in the classroom, the mandated curriculum had a certain number of minutes we had to hit in ELA, in math, but there wasn't a space for science or engineering. So having stories like this where the STEM is integrated into those stories allowed us a lot of flexibility. And I just wished I had more when I was in the classroom. And so when the opportunity to be part of this series came up, I jumped at being part of making books that I wished I had had. So as our tagline shares, STEAM is everywhere and for everyone. So with that in mind, our series showcases the everyday aspect of STEAM. So STEAM in the kitchen, in observation of the natural world, in problem solving, in music. So STEAM is present in fiction stories because these stories are a slice of life and life is full of STEAM. So the stories themselves provide a lot of great situational learning, and the back matter is a bit more didactic, providing context and additional information and vocabulary to support STEAM standards.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the STEAMWORKS series shows that STEAM can happen anywhere. It's not taught just through facts and experiments. That stories are an opportunity to see children engaging and living in STEAM every day. So as you said, Alex, each book is really grounded in relatable and engaging stories that reflect children's everyday lives. As the characters solve problems, ask questions, create and build, they're really using those STEAM thinking skills in a lot of authentic ways. So I think one of our goals was to make the books engaging and story-driven, have story-driven experiences. We really wanted the children in the books to lead the story and explorations, which I think helps make it not seem like it's a lesson, but that it really is a story. I think having this focus allowed the story to really feel authentic and that these experiences could happen in the real world. The STEAM really just comes in naturally as children are asking questions and have wonderings about the world around them.
Absolutely. It was something that was first and foremost when we were acquiring and editing these books, that we wanted the story to come first. So we wanted the books to be full of kid appeal and to inspire, those repeat read requests. And you don't get that in a didactic story that tells children the answer or condescends to them, rather than like really inviting them in to explore their own understandings and ideas. So the STEM is all based on everyday problems, like Naomi said, and we've got things like building a solar oven and maximizing playtime, sorting laundry, observing the phases of the moon, getting dressed, baking. And then those problems are all solved by the kid protagonists themselves. So an adult might appear for safety or to bounce ideas off of, but it's the children that are really figuring it out, and that lends itself to story first telling rather than lesson first telling. And we also had the benefit of that back matter to help expand on anything that we didn't want to get too in the weeds of within the stories themselves. Naomi, I know your group just did a symposium that kind of focused on this. So do you want to kick us off? And
Sure. Yeah. So for young children, the arts are often how they explore the worlds. We always see children drawing and building, engaging in pretend play, definitely singing and dancing. So I think it's just the arts are so natural for children to experience. And through these experiences, children are developing so many important skills like observation skills, communication, and really being able to creatively think, which all of these skills also lend themselves to supporting children in science, technology, engineering, and math. So we really see that the arts are something that naturally strengthens STEAM learning, and it's not something separate. It's not an addition, but it really is integrated within STEAM learning experiences. I would also say that the A is essential because it offers a lot of different entry points for children. It allows them to enter into the experience with skills and talents that they're comfortable with and that they already know. And they really are able to approach STEAM learning in a lot of different ways. And it's not just, I think the arts really allows children to be flexible with their thinking and allows them to think about how to approach a problem and not just the standardized equation or whatever that might be.
absolutely. And I'll just add that I feel like the creativity and artistic thinking that we see in these stories really contributes to innovation in the problem solving, because the best solutions here are often out of the box, unique, fresh, and new. And I think that's really authentic to the way kids think. For me, I think that children are more likely to retain a STEAM concept that's introduced in this way because we're scaffolding the learning with narrative. Uh, with a narrative, it really supports memory and encourages repetition more than simply explaining a STEM concept does. So, when one of the problems, like the ones in our stories, comes up in a child's life, they can think about, how did June or Zoe or Mari handle this? Children love to talk about their favorite characters and the things they do. And through our series, those characters become vehicles for talking about everyday STEAM.
Yeah, I love that, Alex. And I totally agree. I think really these stories create that emotional connection for children and they can remember it through those experiences, the characters and the feelings that they create while reading these books instead of just learning those isolated facts like you said. I also really think that children experience STEAM concepts through multiple representations when they are woven into a story, which really allows children to engage with the concepts in different ways. They're learning about the content while applying it through a variety of formats or activities as they're seeing it done in the stories. And really being able to experience different STEAM concepts in multiple ways helps deepen children's understanding and build their knowledge in STEAM.
I love the idea of like multiple ways of the same concept that you're talking about. That makes me think of Sort, Wash, Roar, one of our board books that's coming out this fall. It's about sorting, as you might be able to guess. And, the first problem is the laundry, dark or light, but what if it's both? What if it's colorful? But then in the end, it's, okay, we're sorting by people. This is so-and-so shirt. This is, daddy's pants. What about laundry that belongs to all of us, like towels from kitchen? So it takes that concept of sorting by attributes and characteristics, and it applies it in two different ways in just that short 10 spread board book.
Yeah, I love that example. And to your point earlier about once they're experiencing these multiple representations in the books, then they see it in their own lives and they're able to apply and connect it to those characters that they saw in the book. Like they're sorting and during play when you're sorting your different toys, and there's sorting
Mhm.
involved while cooking. And so I think it naturally starts coming up, and they're able to talk about it and compare the content to the stories. So I think we really hope that educators see the books as a launch pad rather than a lesson. Each story really opens up the door to different conversations and investigations, hands on explorations, and opportunities for children to make connections to their own lives. And then, really, educators can support children in recreating these challenges from the stories and asking new questions to build from them. They can, extend the experiences by collecting data and building solutions, or simply by just going outside and observing the world around them. What is also really great is that we're developing companion resources. So we will have a STEAM Explorer book guide and related activity produced by Count Play Explore and the Early Math Project that really can help educators extend the learning while keeping it playful and child center. And all of these resources are really great to use in the classroom with families in the home setting, with at the libraries. So I think they really are easy to adapt and modify, whatever setting or wherever you're interacting with children.
And just Naomi's absolutely right. I agree with all of that. And just to add on to it, they're all available in English and in Spanish. And if you don't, have a computer with you or the ability to print it, there is also back matter in every book. So every book, including the board books, has a spread that has back matter that's some combination of words to know, which is our version of a glossary, STEAM concepts to think about. So it kind of expands on what we're addressing in the book itself. And then a count, play, and explore together section, which has activities that can be done at home, in the classroom, in the library to build upon what's happening in the story. I sound like a broken record. I think I've brought this up a couple times, but the STEAM in these stories and STEAM in general really is everywhere. So none of the STEM content in our stories really requires special equipment. And even all of the extension activities that Naomi and I were talking about, they're pretty low or no cost. We really try to focus on capturing the STEAM of everyday life. So we look at sorting in patterns in laundry, like I mentioned, in Sort, Wash, Roar, phases of the moon through food shapes and moon chefs, simple machines and angles with interlocking bricks like a Lego in Ramp It Up, and engineering and music through recycled materials and sounds of trash. So you can repeat a lot of what's happening in these stories with things you already have at home or you might be able to get at the library. And even in Talking to Worms, where we talk about experimental design, all you really need to repeat that experiment is a box and some dirt and some worms, which you can find outside. So families can do a lot of the same exploration by finding things in their house or at a local park or at the library. And in that way, we've created stories that give families language for the STEAM that they're already doing, that's already present in their daily lives and activities.
We really want families to recognize that these STEAM experiences are everywhere and don't require those expensive materials. You can explore STEAM in any daily routine and activity. It's just really taking that time to slow down, ask some questions, and be intentional on the language that you're using with your little ones.
For me, representation is incredibly important in STEAM related books because I want readers and children of all backgrounds to see STEAM related learning and careers as something that could be for them if they so wish. So it's important for children to see themselves in the stories available to them, but even more so, children from backgrounds that are traditionally underrepresented in STEAM and STEM fields to see that they themselves can be scientists, mathematicians, and engineers because they see a scientist, a mathematician, an engineer that looks like them, or that has a family like theirs, or that has experiences like ones that they've had.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Alex. Really uplifting that we want all children, no matter their backgrounds, abilities, family structures, or cultures, to really see themselves as capable in STEAM. I know we have talked about this a lot, and Count Play Explore uplifts this, that every child deserves to see themselves as someone who belongs in STEAM. I think in our world, children a lot of the times are receive maybe subtle messages about who is good at math or science, or who becomes an engineer or inventor. And I think being able to showcase that all children, all types of family structures can engage in STEAM really dismantles that those beliefs and allows children to really recognize that STEAM is for them and that they're already doing it. And I think that's what's beautiful about this book series is children can really begin to recognize themselves in the characters. They might see someone who looks like them, who talks like them, and really being able to start to believe that, wait, I can do this too. I also think that representation helps children appreciate the many different perspectives and experiences that strengthen innovation and problem solving in STEAM, and really being able to see that everyone that they're interacting with in their lives are capable people in STEAM.
I think books can help children see themselves as capable problem solvers, creators, and innovators because they can show children of the same age or a similar age engaging in these things. So we're hoping that after reading these stories, children can be a little bit more persistent. Maybe if the first solution that they try doesn't work, they're going to continue to try again, change their perspective, try again as part of like an engineering design process. And it's actually something that we focused a lot on when we were choosing the stories for this series. We wanted to make sure they encouraged children to be flexible thinkers, to have a growth mindset, and to persist through adversity when trying to solve a problem.
I totally agree, Alex. I think that books really do allow children to experience challenges through characters they care about. As they're watching those characters ask questions or even make mistakes and try again, I think that really allows children to begin to see those same qualities in themselves. I also think that it's really important, and we hope that children are able to start to really develop or continue to develop curiosity and confidence and creativity while reading these books, and really see that these skills support beyond just STEAM learning, that these skills really support all types of learning and everyday routines and activities. I'll let you start.
Sure. So our publishing plan is going to continue fast and furious this fall and next spring. We've got 2 board books, Sort, Wash, Roar, which I mentioned, which has patterns, categorization, and sorting. And then also A Party of Colors, which showcases sequencing and color mixing. Both board books are this fall. And then we have 3 picture books. We have Sisters All the Time, which is full of time, math, and estimation. And Ramp It Up, which I mentioned explores angles and simple machines. And then June's Solar Oven, which follows characters using solar energy and trial and error through the engineering design process. And then in the spring, we have 2 more board books. We have Chloe's Community Garden, which explores plant needs, and Tule Discovery, which focuses on animal body structure and function. So that's how different body parts serve different animals. And then our picture books in the spring are Talking to Worms, which is about experimental design and animal science, while Cupcake Chemistry has precision and measurement, states of matter, and chemistry. And then as a sneak peek, we do also have 2 performance-based titles coming around this time next year, one about coding and dance called Maya Breaks It Down, and one about spatial thinking and performance. That one's a board book, Sebastian Needs a Stage.
It's really exciting to see when all these books will be published. As Alex said, it's fast and furious, and we at Count Play Explore are really excited to continue to see these books published and get them into schools and libraries and really homes. We're really, I think, excited and looking forward to finding really unique ways to spread the word about the resources. In addition to the books being published, we will also continue to create our STEAM Explorer book guides and related activities. These resources are just quick and easy to go through and really support the learning before, during, and after reading. So as each book is published, we'll also publish those supplemental resources along with them, which can be found on our websites, the countplayexplore.org website and the STEAMWORKS books website as well.